Well, hello everyone. Grow Your Strength class. Let's take some time to do a little rolling before we do breathing today. This is the last day of this program that I feel has been a bit chopped up with my travels to take a few courses, work related. So I'm going to roll my hips. If you'd like to roll your back, you can do that. Just I'm going to take some time. Right hand, right hip, both feet on the ground. And gently just kind of push and pull yourself through a little massage of the hip. If it's too intense, anything more than a 4 out of 10, I wouldn't suggest rolling. Maybe offset the weight between your hand and your feet a bit more. On the other hand, if this is feeling really quite easy, you could try to also cross your right ankle over your left knee. And this puts this hip here rolling into more rotation. So that's just a way to get a bit deeper. And you don't have to go too hard or too heavy or too long for that matter. So I was at least 10 passes. So I'll switch over to the other side. Left hand, left hip, both feet on the ground. Check out how the hip feels. Not too bad there. And then crossing the ankle a little deeper. And then the second body part we'll roll today is calves, and then we'll go into breathing. So with calves, I'm going to sit back, put one leg on the roller and bend one knee to support myself. And the calf between the ankle and right up to the back of the knee, you can start to maneuver yourself by lifting your hips off the ground. If this feels uncomfortable for you, you could do halfway and just kind of move your leg more and not lift your hips off the ground. You can turn your leg to the inner aspect, straight up, and to the outer aspect. And if you find a spot, like I often hold some tension in that area, I can just kind of shear my leg over the roller. I'm not necessarily going in the direction of heel to knee. I'm going like left and right. That feels pretty good. If you find a really tight spot, you could just modify the amount of pressure you put in it and just give your ankle a few circles. Just kind of move through it, loosen things up, and there you go. Now switch sides. Take some time to get those different aspects. Over time, you become more confident in, oh, I can just quickly give this a dusting off. Well, you've got a strategy if you have a hot spot there. Here's my back and forth, my left and right again. Some ankle circles. Doesn't feel too bad today. All right, so not a complete head to toe roll, but like I say, every week we'll try and do a few different bits, and you can start the roll before class. Breathing could be either face down or face up. In both positions, just try and take some time to slow your breathing rate down. Relax any tension you're holding in your neck and shoulders. And we'll go for the next minute. Nice slow inhale through your nose if you can. Long, slow exhale. After your next breath cycle, we'll take it up to hands and knees and start going through cat-cow. This is the flexion and extension of the spine. As you round up, you could drop your head down and gently push your hands and knees away from each other. You could even tuck your toes and involve a little stretch of your toes. And then for extension, flatten the feet, drop the front side down. Can you relax the shoulder blades and chest to the floor just a bit more? Looking up. Tuck the toes. Round through your back. Slowly move through each section of your back. One more round through this and we'll come to half kneeling. All right, so in half kneeling, leveling out the hips. So pelvis to armpit, rib cage to hip. Just kind of feel like your posture is nice and stacked upright. Support your down knee with a pillow or come to standing with your feet staggered if the knee is bothering you for some reason. As I track my knee forward over the middle of my foot, I'm trying to pull my heel back. So I'll turn to the side so you can kind of see this. So this is my ankle flexion, dorsiflexion, and I'm pulling my heel towards me to try and get a little bit more glide into that ankle. Depending on your ankle mobility, some people who have good ankle mobility might really be able to get quite far forward. If you have limited ankle mobility from injury, etc., you might be here and the heel might want to lift. So you know you're at that point where you want to continue to try and work the glide. Okay, consistency is the magic. Taking the front foot out on an angle, we can go through some same movements, still trying to pull this heel in, get some good glide. And if it's too easy and you want it to be harder, you pull your heel in closer as you bring that through. Just try to keep the heel on the ground. Okay, last one was taking the foot out, and instead of pulling in, we pretended there was furniture sliders, and the heel and knee are going in the outward direction, right? Yeah, I like the arms. I've been doing that too in all my classes. So it's like, it looks kind of like we're gonna go surfing or something. But you get a nice stretch, create space in the hips for the work, right? So there you go. Okay, before we switch sides, let's go through one of the shoulder cars. So we'll take it to a place where you feel steady. Recheck that you feel balanced. Spread those fingers. And just take some time to slowly bring the arms up, creating a little bit more tension than you might have done in the past. So I'm sinking in to my arms. I reach this point where I have to turn my palms back. I'm going slow enough that I can really find my range, pushing my arms back behind me. And then as I come down, you can hang out with your palms turned out and then lace your hands up the small of your back. Perhaps turn your head to the left and to the right, get a little looseness in the neck and make sure you're not kind of seizing up that way. And then slowly bring your arms back to your sides and rewind. Consistency is in where the magic lies, right? So just going through this, depending on what you want to do, I want to say at least once a day, if not more. Okay, so switching sides, leveling the hips, doing the pulse forward, thinking about pulling the heel back. How does this side compare to the other? If you have an injury, an old injury on one side, sometimes your ankles don't end up being balanced unless you work on them. Good. And then take it out. Adjust the heel. Good. And then taking the foot back out, trying the furniture slider move, spreading, getting some stretch in through the hips, inner thighs. Good. And then back to center. One more time through the shoulder movement, getting nice and tall. Spread those fingers. Create a movement map for your body. We've got some pressing overhead, some rows, things that involve our shoulders. Let's make sure they're nice and ready for that. Bringing my hands down to my sides. Palms are facing out, thumbs back. Then up the small of my back. Turning to the left and to the right, back to center. And a slow rewind. Good opportunity to stretch those fingers. Nice. Okay, so we'll come back to hands and knees and do the same thing for the hip. One circle each direction on each side. So take some time to connect your hands. Don't just load your wrists, use your fingers. Find your neutral back and slowly take one knee off. If you go slow and work this with a little tension as you circle round, you can feel how much you're using your core strength to stay connected to the floor equally, not leaning over to your non-working side. These are all things you can keep thinking about. Pushing the floor away, keeping the neck in line. Okay, that was hard. Switching sides. So nice and slow. I'm going to take us right into the high arm plank today. So we'll give our wrists a little deload. Turn the palms up and just stretch them out for a moment. And then we'll go with one of the versions of high arm plank. This program, we've been changing the width of the hands and the width of the feet. So I'm going to start with both wide. So here's my wide, a little wider than shoulders with my hand placement. And I step back a little wider than my hips. Anchoring in the connection of my shoulders, tightening up my hips a little bit, thinking about breathing. Nice slow breath cycles. We've been holding for about 3. If you want to go a little longer, then bump that up 4 or 5. We'll transition from that to the long seated band row. Taking some time to put the band around the feet, get nice and tall in your sit bones, and walk your hands forward so that your elbows finish at your sides as you pull back. So if it's too loose, you have to end up pulling way back here. Try and walk the hands forward. Get tall. Once you have the tension going, be thinking about 12-ish reps. You could take the elbows wider to challenge a slightly different connection through your back, shoulders. All good. Just try to avoid shrugging this up into here when we're tight. So nice loose anti-shrug motion, pinching on pencil sort of between the shoulder blades. Okay, let's go ahead and do both of those again. So now when we set up the plank, I'm going to take my hands narrow. And this time I'll also take my feet together. So this changes things ever so slightly. Still pushing the floor away. Head is in line, not dropped. Hips are a little tight. 3 to 5 breath cycles. Do you notice how I snuck that in? Getting stronger. Yeah, I saw a nod there. Planks look great, everyone. And then back to the row. So set yourself up. Tall on the sit bones. Find that tension again. Did you play with the width of the elbows? Could try that. Wide, and then the hips. Looking straight ahead. Up to 12. Good stuff. Okay, I'm going to take us to ankle mobility next. So we'll use a stretch strap if you like to do that for ankles. We'll lie on our backs and just take some time to adjust the posture. I've often said this is one of my favorite parts of class. Get to lie on your back and stretch your feet. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to extend my non-working leg. If this doesn't feel good on your back, you could have your knee bent. But let's start with about 5 knee hugs where you fully extend the leg out, trying to get extension of the back of the knee, not locked. You want to put the back side of your leg at length. So once you've done about 5 of these, find a place, even if you have to back the leg off a little, that you're not in a bent knee position, okay? That you can be working your ankle when your whole back side of your leg is at length. Then we transition to some ankle movements, pointing the toes to the roof, trying to spread my toes, pull the toes to the shin. We'll go through about 5 of these movements today. Holding the toes to the shin. Now I'm starting to roll the sole of my foot in and out, challenge being to keep the leg still. So work that ankle mobility. Sole of the foot all the way in, all the way out. After 5 of those, point the toes to the roof and try the same thing. Swing the sole of the foot in and out. You're getting a stretch through the front side of your ankle. This is a different way of assessing ankle mobility is your amount of what we call plantar flexion. So this part of your ankle gets a stretch. How about a few circles in each direction before you switch sides? Sometimes it's just like really weird where the brain goes when you're doing stuff like this. Like when I was trying to learn switching sides to get the posture and then into the knee bends, when I was trying to learn the movements of the body in nursing school way back in the day, now I'm really dating myself. When the ankle's like this, it's called dorsiflexion. So, and when it's like this, it's plantar flexion. So this is like a dorsal fin on a whale with the toe sticking up. Okay, there's a fun fact that you probably didn't need to know, but there you go. So here we go with the 5 knee bends. And then again, finding a place to hold the leg at length while you work the ankle. This is important. You don't want to be here. So back it off if you have to. See where everyone is. Good. Spread those toes. Work on your dorsiflexion. Work on your whale flexion. And then point those toes to the roof. After 5, hold the toes to the shin. Did I hear a whale calling? And then turn the sole of the foot in and out. Find those end ranges that you can only access when you're going slow. Point the toes, do the same thing. And then finishing off with those circles, keeping the legs still. Nice work. See why that's my favorite part of the class? Overhead band range of motion now. So we'll take the band adjust the posture. I'm going to keep my knees bent for this one. You could have them straight if you wanted to try that. Give yourself some clearance overhead. Adjusting the chin and the back posture. So if you have a big curve in your back, you're going to tuck your hips and decrease the curve a bit. And then find a place that you can get the arms, the back of the hands to the floor. Depending on where you're holding tension, you might find that your kind of wrists are trying to reach, go a little wider if that's the case. Just meet your body where it's at. And then over time, we'll slowly go narrower. If you have a loop band like I do, you can open your fingers, stretch. If you're grabbing onto a band, try to release the band in the overhead position and just stretch your hands. Open your hands and lengthen your fingers before you re-grasp the band and bring it back. Okay, then we transition to some band bridges, double bridges. I've anchored my hands on the floor and I'm bridging up into that band, extending my hips, about 12 of these. If the added work from the band is too much, then just take the band away and do your regular bridge where you come up, activate your hips, and down and release. Up, down and release. Looks good, everyone. Okay, so then I'm going to transition to our get up. Taking some time to set up the get up today. Right hand to the roof, right knee bent, left arm and leg out on a bit of an angle. You can anchor in, connect your shoulder, the up arm, so it's went kind of set and your core feels like it's connected. You might want to press that mid to low back to the floor again. It's a roll to the elbow. Spread the fingers, come up to the hand, adjust the hand so you can take your weight off the floor. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and slowly come back down. Make sure this feels okay on the shoulder. Roll to the elbow and pull yourself back down. Let's do that one more time and then switch sides. So go through the checklist. Yeah, feels good. Back is set. Take a little breath in and an easy roll. There you go, looks good. Anchor in the shoulders. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. You can be looking up at your hand. I'm looking at the screen to see how everyone's doing. But if I had a weight in my hand, I'd stick true to the form and be looking at my hand. Okay, so switching sides. I've often said the get up will change your life. Really is an interplay of a lot of parts of your body. So second side, easy roll to the elbow, up to the hand, pull the hand in, make sure that you can support your weight. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, slow down, elbow, roll away. Reset, don't be in a rush for this. As I roll, I'm pushing into my bent knee foot. So I can kind of push and roll, and come up, lift, and back down. Okay, now let's grab that band and do one more set of bridges before we come off the floor. Anchor in the hands. Check the tension. Full hip extension means that when you come up, you can imagine a line between your knee joint, your hip joint, and your armpit. If you're too low, this is not full hip extension. And if you were higher than this, you could put stress into your back. So this is a hard style bridge. I'm not cueing us to roll through our spine. I would call this a hard style bridge where you're working on lifting the hips, activating the hip muscles, lowering the hips, and relaxing the hip muscles. Check the chin. Everything's good. working up and down. Okay, that's nice to hear those cues as you go through this kind of work and improve your practice if you can. All right, so coming to standing, we're going to go through rolling the feet for about half a minute per side, using a piece of furniture or a tipped up roller. Let's get a small ball down by the heel and just checking side to side. Feels all right. Put the heel on the ground. Now I'm sweeping the ball across from my inside arch to my outside arch. If I found something really tight, I could stick with the tight spot, like the inside. Doesn't feel too bad. About the outside, again, not too bad. I like finding the little joint space between each toe. So I'm moving my foot over the ball and gently pressing in and just kind of stretching my toes. And you know what? That feels pretty good. So if you had a real tight spot, you might want to revisit that later in the day. So we're waking up the feet, switching sides, check out the heel, sweep across the inside and work your way up to the toes. What about that inside arch? The outer aspect feels pretty good today. And then those spaces between the toes, gently pressing down, opening up the toes. I like it. Okay, let's use the ball for some calf raises. So ball between the heels, feet are straight. I'm glancing down to make sure I have that just right. I might need balance support, but I'm going to stand tall, exhale and lift my heels, gently squeezing the ball and come down. 6 to 10 of these. Sometimes when you come up, you have better control than others. So I would say if you have a good one going on, then hang out there for a second and really get some bend in your toes. So up, gently squeezing the ball together and coming down. Bad reps, maybe don't count. Just practice again. Don't get frustrated. Up and back down. There we go. If you want to add some breath, you could exhale as you lift. So inhale on the floor with the heels. Exhale as you lift and squeeze. All right. Looks good. Okay, let's see what's next. Single leg balance reaches. So we've rolled the feet, done a little calf work, a little ankle work. We're ready to go. So I'm going to just kind of set up my foot that I'm going to be balancing on and reach forward with my hands and back with my leg. Now you want to try and stay square to the floor so it's not here. And if you can't control this, it's easier to go to a piece of furniture so you have a target to lightly touch. Then you can work on squaring the shoulders and hips, pushing this back leg to the wall behind you and coming back up. As you reach, you want to feel like you're trying to sort of move as one through the balance. I believe in the last few programs, I've been starting with my hands at the sides. If you want to make it a little harder, you could take your arms overhead and then see about moving the heel and the fingers in the same plane. Coming back up, switch sides. Square those shoulders and hips and coming on back up. Balance is such a tricky thing. You know, it's got a lot of components. Often we'll say with balance exercises, let's close our eyes. We'll take away that visual. That component is key, but it's not the only component. Anyway, we'll play with more balance in the future. Let's hit up our set. Curtsy lunge, load side or shoulder, lateral raise. Okay, so today, do I look like I don't know what I'm doing? I'm going to go with a curtsy lunge and press. So here's a light weight that I know I can press overhead. Okay, so I'm in a zone there. Now, right side, curtsy lunge back, Come up to standing, press overhead. About 6 of these, okay? This is the first set. We'll do it a couple times today. So if this set is feeling on the light side and you're not challenging yourself enough, you can heavy it up for the second set. So I take my foot back and across, anchor my toes, drop the back knee a little or a lot, depending on what you can control. Come back up to standing and press overhead. Okay, after 6 reps or so, you're switching sides. Left side, press. Good. Second exercise, lateral raise. Okay, so this is out to the sides. Elbows are going to be bent. If you don't have weights that are light enough to do this, then you're going to go with fists. Standing with good posture, making sure that you're not hyperextending your knees and leaning back, okay? You're trying to float your posture over your feet, and then use your shoulders, coming out to about 90 degrees if there's no pain with this. I just had a client ask about getting a little set of dumbbells. It is always good to have a variety of weights on hand so that if you're working too light all the time, you're really not getting the benefit that you could, the adaptations that you could, right? So got to keep that in mind with the loads. Light band, external rotation. So taking a stretchy band, it's not too heavy. External rotation classic is palms up, elbows at the sides, gently opening. But I'd like to suggest that you try to change the angles a little bit today. Just little bent elbows. The shoulders don't always just work in one plane, so give yourself a variety of movements, just ensuring that you don't go into your neck, right? So shoulders are set, you can keep your breath, and you're just opening up. Depending on how hard this is, 10, 12, 15 reps, it would all be good. Just listen to your body. Then we go to squats. Slow down with a 3, 2, 1, hold. Okay, so you could be asking yourself, do I want to work a little harder? Do I want to take a heavier weight? I'm going to do 6 squats, and I'm going to stop on the way down. Set myself up with a good footprint, feet straight or slightly turned out. 3, 2, 1, and out you come. Okay, so I've got the kettlebell a little bit upside down with my thumbs hooked there. I've got a good grasp of it. 3, 2, 1, and up. Hey, way to go there, Shirley. Okay, now she picked up something heavier. Listen to your body. Maybe 3 squats, 4 squats is enough. Maybe it's like, oh, I'm surprised I haven't gone heavier before. 3, 2, 1, up. So nice. 2, 1, up. See, when you're having a lot of fun and you're not thinking about how many reps you're doing, you could go all day. Maybe not. Okay, curtsy lunge. Let's go back to that. Now, remember I mentioned about the weight. Do you want to go a little heavier? So I am going to go a dumbbell up, right side, curtsy, posture, press. 6 of those. Curtsy, posture, press. Very nice. Like what I'm seeing. Posture, press. The exact way you put the weight overhead is another variable. If the weight is pretty challenging, the safest and probably easiest way is to go straight up. But if you want to turn your palm in here and turn your palm out up here, or keep your palm in, you see that you can challenge your whole shoulder complex a little differently by doing that. Switching sides. Press. See? Very nice. And back to the lateral raises. Look down at my feet, make sure they're straight. There goes my ball, a live ball. All right, here we go. Out to the sides. Bring it back down. Listen to your body. How does that feel? Looking straight ahead, tall in your posture. Up to 10. Modify those reps. If this feels good and this is too far, then just go through a range that feels good. Don't push it to the point where it doesn't, okay? And then we go to the external rotation kind of play with the lighter band. You can start classic, palms up, elbows are a little bent, and then start to go through the variety of angles. Keep your elbows at your sides. You can bring your arms out a little forward. Create a little tension and tone through the shoulder blades, armpits, backside of those shoulders. I like it. Looks good. Okay, and then let's do our squats one more time. I did pick up something heavier here. Careful with the pickup. I turned it upside down, adjusted my feet. Big breath in as you pull yourself down. 3, 2, 1. And up. I just about forgot the stop there. 3, 2, 1. Okay, this makes it harder because it's more time under tension. So keep that in mind. When things get tough, you do count. 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 more to go. Number 5. 3, 2, 1. Last one. And back up. Carefully put the weight down. Okay, so we just really nicely loaded those quads. Let's do a lateral step. So we'll take some time, try some variations. You can tap your toe down. You could take it to a balance and just kick back. You could go a little slower and bend the knee and then come over and bend the knee. Make it a bit more dynamic. We're trying to test our lateral hip stability. So you've got that control. If you were to catch your foot, you're not gonna fall, right? Let's go 20 more seconds. So just challenge yourself. Good. Nice. Oh, 5 more seconds. Good job. Okay, let's grab the weights for the arms. I believe last week I cued some different angles with the bicep curls. So I'm using a lighter weight that I could curl. If I stuck with this curl, I could probably go heavier. But what I want to try and do is challenge the angles, taking it in, maybe taking it out, back to center, creating some tension, not only on the way up, but on the way down, right? Like you're pulling through some sand. Push through the sand. Come through this angle. So when you're playing with this, the fatigue takes longer to set in because I'm not just doing 12 reps in this angle. So you might get more reps in, and that's okay. Okay, now as you transition to the tricep today, think about the angles as well. So you can have your hands closer to your hips, or you could take them a little wider. You could also change it so that your palms face up as you kick back, and as your palms face down as you kick back. This feels different through the upper arms as you work the different angles. Okay, so again, it's going to take longer to fatigue. Let's go back to the lateral step. And so this time, as I go to one foot on the side, I'd like to try to suggest you blink or close your eyes for a moment. So you're trying to just momentarily take that visual out of your balance. And we'll go for the next 20 seconds. Ten more seconds, doing great. Blink or close your eyes. Good. Now let's go with an overhead press, just from standing. Again, a review of the different angles. Okay, so weights to the shoulders. I could take my palms and go up overhead with the palms facing in. Don't put your shoulders in a position of vulnerability. You can take the palms facing out. Now try pressing overhead. Good. Bring it right in, angle, rotate out and up. See how you can play with that? Now, what about a little wider? Is this in your wheelhouse to go wider? Does that feel okay? If so, press overhead. Pull back down. Now think of the sand as you go through a few more reps, okay? So sand push, right through your feet, pull. Use those elbows and armpits. Again, up, I'm changing the angle. Palms are staying in, and pull. So because I'm creating this tension, I'm making each rep a whole lot harder. And pull back down. Excellent. Okay, weights down. If you're doing this workout on a tape and you'd like a second set of some of these things, just rewind the tape. Let's finish with some standing hip work. So taking the weight to one side, you're going to bring the knee up. And you're just going to wave from below the knee, in and out. As your foot comes across, this is external rotation of this hip. As your foot goes out, that's internal rotation of the hip. Shake it out, switch sides. So knee comes up 90 degrees or less. So if you feel pinchy in your hip, bring your knee down a little bit. And then again, window wiper. As you come across, that's the external rotation. Out is internal rotation. You might notice a little difference in your hips side to side. Maybe you didn't think about it. Let's go one more time per side. Up. Where can I go to? Okay. Back to center, all the way out, trying to keep the knee stable. Switch sides. Up. Where can I go to? And back. Interesting way to assess our shoulder mobility. Okay, now let's do our cars, one per side, and then we'll say goodbye. So here's our shoulder cars, just crossing one arm across my chest, taking my shoulder, rewriting that movement map for what I can access today. We've warmed up, we've pressed. Tucking that hand up the small of the back, turning the head to the left and to the right. You can have your hand palm out down here and then rewind it. Trying not to move the body is the challenge. So I'm not going into anything funky. I'm trying to make it all driven from my shoulder. Okay, switching sides. I just thought of something for the next program too. I'm going to focus a little bit more on elbows and wrists. We're going to bring the deadlift back. Got some exciting things in mind for the next program. Okay. I put it up the small of the back, turned, came down to the hand at the side. Nice deep breathing as you finish this off. Thank you for growing a stronger version of yourself with me today. I hope you do the tape a couple times this week, and I'll see you next week.